I'm going to attempt to teach everyone how to make a chain scarf, like this one. Although, well, obviously that's not a scarf, it's just the beginning. I have a longer one, but I kind of don't want to show everyone what it looks like until I'm done, because it's a present for Nick. So basically, you make a bunch of tubes like this. I do it all in one piece. As you can see, there's no sewing on the sides. This is just a finished edge from the knitting itself. The only time that I sew it is when I sew the ends together with the yarn to make them into loops. And there's the sewed ends. You can barely tell that they're sewed. They're not round, they're not tubey, but when you have them all together, you can't really tell. Like, you can't really tell that that's not perfect. Well, it is. It's the best I can get. Anyway, either way, it doesn't show, so it doesn't matter. So first, I start with selecting about 5-6 inches of thread, or string. Sorry, yarn. Not very good at this tutorial video thing. Anyway, and then I make a slip knot. So first, I make a loop, twist the loop, make a second loop, stick it through. I'm trying to do this as explanatory as possible to make sure that everybody gets it. I might be really bad at that, I don't know. So then I make a loop, make a second loop, put the second loop through the first loop, pull the second loop up, and the strings down. Then you put that on your needle. And you tighten it. Now, I don't like tightening that much because I like having a bit of room, and when you're a beginner it's definitely important to have as much room as you can at first to get used to it. So to start, it's kind of difficult. This is a bit tricky, and it's a lot easier if you can get someone to teach you firsthand. But if you can't, I'm going to try and go over it a few times. So I'm going to turn this camera around so you can see my hands properly. So first you have to get the small string, the shorter one, the one that's not attached to your big ball of yarn, which mine is a massive ball of yarn. Anyway, and you put it around your thumb. And then you take the longer string and put it around your forefinger. So you basically put them in between and open it up. And then you grab the other strings with your other finger, so it looks like that. Try and back it up a little bit. There you go. This is really hard to do through camera. Okay, and then you take your needle that's up here and you go through that particular string. You loop it through, and then you go over to the one over here and you loop it through, and then you go back through your thumb. So I'll show you again, and then you let go of the thumb, and then you have another loop. So now I have two loops. See, 1, 2. I'm going to do it again. So you take the shorter one, let's move this back here so you can see better. Take the shorter one, see, shorter, and the longer ones on this side. You put your thumb and forefinger through it, gather up all the strings on that hand, you pull this down, you go through, there, and then you go through this finger, and then you put it back down through your thumb, and then you pull. That looks like a jumble of wool, I know, but you will get used to it if you try it a few times. Again, try it up as close as I can without it getting too blurry. So you go through with your finger and your thumb and forefinger, and then you go thumb, forefinger. Oh, I didn't get the forefinger one. Forefinger, thumb, let go of the thumb. See, the thumb's free. And pull. Now the key is to try and get the ones on the bottom here, because you can see it's kind of making a bit of a pattern about the same length. I've been knitting for about 4 years now. They're never the same length, so I don't really worry that much about it. You can't tell at the end of it, but if you're a perfectionist, some people like to do it like that. It looks nicer, but like I said, you don't really notice by the end anyway. Not unless you really pay a lot of attention. It still looks good and finished and all that. So then you do it again. Thumb. Oh, just the one side of the thumb, you don't want both. Forefinger, back through the loop on the thumb, and you pull. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See? 5 loops. So then I want to keep going. Thumb, forefinger, thumb, go. Thumb, forefinger, thumb, let go. Just let go of the thumb. Hold on to the forefinger. Oh, my yarn's being all twisted up here. More apparently. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 3 more. Thumb. Ah, hold on. Try it again. Thumb. Forefinger, thumb. Let go of the thumb. Try to do this extra slow. Oh, you just saw my fingers there. Let me try this again. This is very difficult. Thumb. Forefinger. Let go of the thumb. And there we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, one more. Thumb. Forefinger. Thumb. Let go. And there's 10. Alright. So there's the start of a beautiful friendship. I mean, your piece. Now, try to keep these as loose as you can, because you're going to thank yourself later. Your fingers won't be killing you quite as much. So then you turn your piece around so that it is in your left hand. At least this is how I do it. And then you bring in the other stick. Oh, sword fight. Sorry. Okay, I have very small attention span sometimes. So then you leave alone the small piece now. This is small and you don't need it. It is just the end of your work. As you can see with this, it has a tail. I like to leave them at least one side relatively long, because that way you can sew it in a lot easier later. You can just use the same piece instead of using a new piece of thread, and then you don't have to worry about knots or whatever. So, to sew this, now I'm not going to teach you all about knitting and purling, because really we're just working on this project right now. If you want to learn about that, there's a lot of really good knitting tutorial videos, and I've used a lot of them to figure this stuff out myself. But this doesn't really deal with any of that. All it deals with is the terms. Knitting is when you see kind of the V shapes on things, and purling is the more steady circular shapes. This you'll only see the knit side, because the tube, the inside of the tube is where all the purling is. So basically, and it's just like the right side and the wrong side. It's complicated. So I'm going to try to stop explaining it. So basically, first you have to put the needle through the back, your second needle through the back of the first loop. So like so. Now, see, it's back here, and I can't. There we go. So it's back through the back of it, and then you have to wrap the wool that's in your other hand, which I like to hold like this. It's just how I hold it. So I wrap it around my finger. So then I wrap it around the needle, or at least I usually do. Sometimes on the first one I have to hold it. And then you just bring this one string down under through that string. See how it's on there now? and then let the one on the first needle go. So now you have a stitch. I like to pull on the tail a little bit to kind of give it a bit sturdier of a thing, of a hold. And then you have to do a slip stitch on the purl side. So you move your string to the other side, to the front of it, and you just take the loop that's on the first needle. Oh, my camera sucks so bad. Yeah, that's good. So see how I've got the first, I have the one on there. So I just take that off with the other needle. Well, usually. Take that off with this needle. So then I just transferred that stitch over. So then I put that back to the back. This is really, really hard. Okay, knitting this isn't hard. Knitting this in front of a camera on top of a thing is hard. So then do it again. I go through the back. See? It's in the back. It's hard to see. In the back. And then I twist it around again. This is a knit stitch, the way I do it. And then you pull it out through the other side of that stitch. This is not working very well. And then you let the one in the back go. And then you go that way. So you put the thread in front of your first needle with all of the stitches on it. See how you have 3 stitches on this one now? I try and hold them on because at first it's hard for them to knot, like I have trouble with them not slipping off. So the next one, you go through the front again after you've moved your string over, or your thread over, your yarn over, and you just put that stitch on there. And then you move your string to the back, and you move the string to the back, and then you just do another loop around that needle, another knit, pull it through, and then release that one. So slip stitch the purl and then knit. Oh man, this is really hard to do. Yeah. And then knit, sorry. That was the knit. And then slip stitch the purl. So this side, slip stitch it. And then knit. See, the thing is, you always want to end on the knit side, or on the purl, the slip stitch, the one where you don't really do anything but put hands not cooperating. The one where you don't do anything, so you just wrap around and you knit this side. Okay, this is not working. So you want to make sure you end on the purl. I'm going to try and do this in a way that is going to work, and I hope that it does. I'm going to point this at me. I have more room now to knit, so hopefully you can see it better. So I'm going to back up. Okay, my tummy's kind of bugging me. Anyway, so first you're going to knit. So this is the other way. So you see how I slip it through the back there, and then I wrap the string around it, then I pull it through. See how it's pulled through the other side there, and then I've got it on that one. So then when I want to slip stitch the purl, like I was saying, you just put it, your string will be in the back, you move your string to the front, and I'm going to move that out of the way just so you can see, and then you just put it through the top, or through the like front, and pull it right off. So you don't need to do anything but pull the stitch onto your other needle. So then another knit stitch, you put it through the back, you wrap it around, and you pull it through, and then for the slip stitch, all you do is you put it through the front and you pull it off. So, but you have to make sure when you're doing the knit stitch, before you do the knit stitch, you always have to put the string to the back and pull that through, and then you just slip stitch the front one. So knit stitch back, through, and then just through that loop and take it. So pretend like you're taking the loops, but this one you've got to do special stuff too. So the knit one, you put it in the back, and then you grab this one, basically. And on the front, you just pull that right back off. So this is the beginnings of what you're wanting to have. So see how there are little V's? Oh, let's do it this way. You can see it easier that way. See how there are little V's there? That's what you want it to look like. So that's the knit side. And you just basically keep doing that, and you'll eventually end up with these tubes. Now, of course, for these ones I used a lot smaller needles, size 11s I think. This is a giant needle, as you can see, 9mm or something like that. I don't know, the writing wore off. Either way, these giant needles, and I'm using small wool, and the other ones I'm using smaller needles and small wool, so that's why that looks so refined and finished and stuff. I suggest using bigger needles and like regular-ish sized wool to start with, so you get the hang of knitting. If you make a mistake, unfortunately, unless you've figured out how to get rid of the stitches without messing up, to like backtrack on it, I suggest starting all over again. I know that's a really big pain in the butt, and I've come a pretty far way because I've had to take apart a lot longer projects than just this. So it's a bit of a pain, but once you get the hang of it, it's definitely worth it because it makes the coolest scarves I've probably ever seen. So I'm going to show you one more time before I go. So there's, first, let's hope this works well, you stick that needle in the back. You wrap it around, the string around the back needle, and you pull that string through the other side of that loop. And now you're going to want to switch sides, so you take the string and you put it on into the front. And then you just grab that loop with the needle in the front, you pull the needle to the front, grab the loop, right off. That's it. So then you go through the back, wrap it around, pull it off of the needle, or put it on the needle and pull off. Then you go to the front, you just stick the through and pull it right off. So back, around, pull that loop through and off. Front, straight off. Back, around, through and off. Front, straight off. Back, around, through and off. Front, straight off. So people who already knit and don't knit like me, the easy of this all, like the easiest way for me to tell you is to do this so that you don't have to be really super confused as to what I'm doing, is